it was a reaction against kingly intolerance, and it was against priestly power wrongly exercised. And on February 12, 1798, General Berthier, the general of the troops of Napoleon Bonaparte, entered Vatican City, arrested Pope Pius VI, and took him prisoner to France, where he died in exile. And so everybody thought that the papacy at this point had been killed by this civil power of France. In fact, let me read you some interesting statements from historians where they say that everybody thought that the papacy was dead. And these are secular historians. Notice this first one. The papacy was extinct. Not a vestige of its existence remained. And among all the Roman Catholic powers, not a finger was stirred in its defense. The eternal city had no longer prince or pontiff. Its bishop was dying captive in foreign lands. And the decree was already announced that no successor would be allowed in its place. In another quotation, Joseph Rickaby says this about the French Revolution and the deadly wound. No wonder that half of Europe thought Napoleon's veto, that the veto means that Napoleon had said no more popes. No wonder that half of Europe thought Napoleon's veto would be obeyed, and that with the Pope, the papacy was dead. Another, T.H. Gill, in his book, The Papal Drama, says this about what happened in 1798. Multitudes imagined that the papacy was at the point of death and asked, would Pius VI be the last pontiff, and if the close of the 18th century would be signalized by the fall of the papal dynasty. And one further quotation, the papacy had suffered its deepest humiliation and appeared to be annihilated. Notice the terminology, appeared to be annihilated. The revolution also dealt it the wound which it seemed did not want to heal until far into the 20th century. And the ironic thing is that the first nation that gave the Roman Catholic papacy temporal power was Clovis, king of the Franks, in the year 508. That's why France is known as the eldest daughter of the papacy. And the very nation that first gave temporal power to the Roman Catholic Church withdrew that power, ironically, from her in 1798. The French Revolution was a catastrophic event for the papacy. In fact, in the aftermath of the French Revolution, country after country in the Western world turned democratic. They were emancipated from the power of the church during the Middle Ages, using them to persecute the saints of the Most High. And it appeared that the papacy was dead. But prophecy tells us that the deadly wound was going to be healed. Notice Revelation chapter 13 and verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded. What was it wounded with? With a sword. What did the beast wound with? The sword. And his deadly wound was healed. And all the world marveled and followed the beast.